I wanted to demonstrate how you can use props that you have in your home for assistance during your prenatal yoga stretches. And what I'm using today is just a little table that I can easily move around, but you can also use just a small chair. You can use any sort of bit of furniture that is around you, windowsill, anything really. So just for a nice forward stretch, a variation of our forward stretch, we'll take pyramid pose where I have one foot in front of my body and one foot slightly behind, and my feet are still at hip distance. They can even be wider. So this pyramid stretch, we keep our hips nice and square and just start to hinge forward. So the straighter we keep our spine and the more neutral we keep our pelvis, that means kind of in line, hips are side by side, and the weight balance between both feet, you will feel this stretch really waking up in the backs of your legs. Mostly feel it in my right leg that is forward right here. This is also really wonderful for those mamas who are experiencing reflux, which we very often get during pregnancy, or if you're really stuffy. Everything, those capillaries are certainly swelling, so we get stuffier during our pregnancy too. And sometimes when we release our head lower than the heart, that aggravates the reflux. Our head feels stuffier, it's hard to breathe. So staying at more of a flat back or lifted can still help you access this stretch without aggravating any reflux or stuffiness or dizziness. If you need to also, you can keep a soft bend in the knees. Let's take one more breath here. Good. And then if you're able, bring your hands to your hips with a nice straight spine and slowly bring yourself back up. Switch sides because we must. Feels good, right? So hips are nice and square. Notice if you want to round in your spine to reach down, keep your spine nice and straight as you hinge. Check in on that left hip, draw it back. Check in if the weight is forward on that front leg and shift the weight so that it's evenly placed between both legs. Good. Take 2 more breaths here, nice and steady, and feel lots of opening, releasing in that front leg that we have here. My left leg, that hamstring is really opening up, helping to release a lot of tension and strain in the low back. One more breath. Good. Hands to the hips, and then slowly rising on up. Another assist that I love is for triangle pose. So certainly during our 3rd trimester, when baby's growing, it might not be as easy to access triangle where we hinge pretty deeply into the side body. So use your chair, or I've got my little table here. I'm actually going to step my foot just inside this space. If you're using a chair, it keeps you more upright. So you can keep your hips nice and flat as you hinge. We shift the weight. I've got my right leg kind of forward and my left leg is back, and I shift the weight into my left leg. I've got that prop here for my support. Top arm can reach if you want a little bit more energy in the pose, or you can keep that hand on the hip and just find lots of length once again in your spine. That's a common theme, lengthening in your spine, reaching and stretching and not rounding and collapsing. But you'll feel that stretch open up in the inner thigh. You'll feel some mobility in the hips as well. Good. Take one more breath in. Breath out, and then very gently bring yourself back up, and we'll switch sides. If you're doing this with me, just move your prop or move your body around. And again, I'll put my foot right inside here. Your back toes are pointing to the side of your mat, the leg that you're working with. So now it's my left leg. It's pointing in the direction that I'm hinging. My hips hinge, and I've got this gentle expression for my triangle pose that feel that inner stretch, or that deep stretch on the inner thigh. Some length for the pelvic floor here as we stretch into the inner thighs. That right hand can stay on your hip, or you can reach it up for just a little bit more energy. So again, this is our modified version of the deeper stretch, which is triangle, which generally goes down to the shin. So we just find ways to adapt the pose to what we need for whatever stage we're in our pregnancy, or just being kind to the hips if we have some, hip mobility restrictions, we can find a way to make it work, always. I will help you find a way to make it work, I promise. Take one more breath here. Good, and then slowly bring yourself up. I also love the assistance if you are working, whether you are taking a lunge in a yoga practice or if you're doing kind of movement lunges in a regular fitness class. During our pregnancy, our balance is certainly challenged. So it's really wonderful to just use the assistance of the windowsill or the wall for some support so that you are able to maintain the alignment and structure of the movement and exercise. And you feel stable and strong in your body instead of really fighting with the balance, which is certainly challenged as our baby grows. So I love using that support. If you want to hold in a lunge with me here, I love using that support of the wall. And even if you kind of arrive there and you want to just test your balance, you can test it. In our yoga practice, we add on by reaching the arms to the sky, adding on even more energy, breathing all the way through to the fingertips. Use that support of your wall, lean forward and bring yourself back up and switch sides. Good. So I will say it 1,000 times, but asking for and receiving help is a sign of strength. So we can receive help from the props in and around our home so that we can have a more stable and balanced and effective workout session, whether you are doing yoga or any other type of movement in your house. Keep it mindful, use your props. You are doing an amazing job, Mama. More pre- and postnatal yoga videos, plus my favorite resources at exercisingbalance.com.